Everyone is used to looking at the front of those glittering stages, the grandeur of the Grammys, the laughter behind the high walls of mansions, and that flawless rhythm sanctifying success. But no one asks, what happens in that gray zone when the music stops and the lights go out? For 30 years, one man set the pulse of the global entertainment industry, Sean Combs. The year is 2024, Miami. As the sky shakes with the hum of helicopters, more than just the gates of a mansion were being broken down. Hollywood's biggest non-disclosure agreement was being terminated. The 1,000 bottles of baby oil or the terabytes of footage seized in those raids that day weren't just tabloid fodder. They were the most tangible evidence of an era, an emperor, and an architecture of fear. Combs showed us the most aesthetic, most melodic form of crime. He proved how one could enslave the human soul without firing a single bullet, using nothing but the threat of ending a career. Today, we open the PDiddy file to understand how a musical genius transformed into a systemic monster. Do you think Diddy is another Epstein case? Sean Combs' rise wasn't just a story of talent. He managed to become the industry's visa center. This intellect, who learned to survive on the harsh streets of Harlem, knew not only the notes of the system, but also where it would crack. He wasn't just a producer. He was the entry ticket to Hollywood. When he founded Bad Boy Records in the 90s, he didn't just sell albums. He marketed an illusion of invincibility. To stand by him meant entering the club of the untouchables, young talents, fund managers, and global titans. They all lined up to leak into that glittering but dark circle. No one imagined a freak-off pit was waiting behind those luxury doors. Combs didn't manage people's greed. He managed their fear of being ignored. He didn't act like a criminal. He acted like a judge who made the rules himself. A cold-blooded strategist who used his influence as a shield and his reputation as a guillotine. The East Coast-West Coast wars of the 90s, the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. The name behind these murders, told as tragedies for years, was always whispered. Diddy. Allegations of hiring a hitman for $1 million, throwing his own artist Biggie into the fire like a sacrificial lamb. Diddy didn't just erase his rivals from the market. He eliminated them physically. As he consolidated power, his control mania turned toward the women in his life. The hell he put Kim Porter through, the guns found in Jennifer Lopez's purse. Diddy silenced his loved ones by turning them into accomplices. No one could speak, because everyone had a stain from Diddy on their hands. But this bloody war on the streets didn't stop Diddy. On the contrary, it opened the doors to a much darker world behind closed doors, filled with baby oil and plastic sheets. Those 1,000 bottles of baby oil seized in the FBI raid. The internet mocked it for days. But when the court documents were unsealed, no one was laughing. Because those bottles weren't fantasy props, they were part of a detainment mechanism. According to witness statements, Diddy used these oils as a weapon in freak-off sessions. The floors and beds were entirely covered in plastic sheets, and victims' bodies were completely soaked in this oil. Why? So that when they tried to escape, they couldn't turn the doorknobs. They would simply slip away. While the victims couldn't even stand up due to the drugs in their systems, that slippery surface turned them into prisoners. 1,000 bottles of oil were, in fact, the physical prison of 1,000 different traumas. By May 2025, the world held its breath for the verdict from the federal court in New York. Prosecutors painted Diddy as a crime lord. However, on July 2, 2025, the jury signed off on a surprising decision. Sean "Diddy" Combs was acquitted of the heaviest charges: racketeering and sex trafficking by force. Yes, you heard right. These major charges weren't enough to convince the jury. But the doors didn't open for Diddy. The jury found him guilty of transporting individuals for the purpose of prostitution under the Mann Act. The price of betrayal and violence was settled through a technical statute. On October 3rd, 2025, the final word was spoken. 50 months in prison, roughly 4 years and 2 months. For a giant once facing life imprisonment, this sentence sparked massive public outrage. Some said justice has been served, while others rebelled, shouting that the power of money won again. Diddy is currently serving his sentence at Fort Dix prison in New Jersey. After those glittering mansions, he now lives in a single cell with limited shower rights per week. If everything goes according to plan, his release date is set for April 25th, 2028. However, the collective memory created by 1,000 bottles of oil and 2 terabytes of footage will never be paroled. Today, looking back from March 2026, what we see is not just the fall of one man, but the collapse of an entire industry's wall of silence. The Diddy case was Hollywood's Epstein moment. Perhaps that massive prison sentence didn't come, but the name Sean Combs is no longer mentioned in the golden pages of music history, but in the criminal files of the courthouse. This darkest nightmare of the American dream is, for now, locked in a cell. Did the system protect its own child again? Or is this just the silence before the storm? If you are searching for the truth hidden behind the black ink, you are in the right place. Subscribe to The Files and stay in the light.